Welcome to In This Corner of Weighing In with Travis Hartman. I have a guest who has been on here before, Mr. Ryan Main Event Maine. He is now, are you 6-0, 4 knockouts, I believe. You are
Yes,
fighting
sir.
this Saturday at the Wyndham Hotel in Orlando, Florida. If you haven't got your tickets, get your freaking tickets already. Go see this guy. But anyway, Ryan, welcome to the show again, man. And I appreciate it because I know that this is fight week. This is
Yep.
a Wednesday right now, and you are taking the time out of your schedule to come on the podcast. And I couldn't tell you how grateful I am, man. So again, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Travis, thanks for having me, man. Seriously. And I'm
Of
glad we
course,
were able
brother.
to finally make it work. I know during the week we were trying to set up time, either on my end didn't work, then on your end it didn't work, but I'm glad we were able to get this time.
100%, man. I tell everybody that comes on the show, I'm just like, you know what? I feel like this, once you turn pro, you're kind of in a fraternity now of pro boxers.
Yeah.
You are. So
Yeah.
I'm doing my part here because I'm trying to pass it on a little bit and get as much exposure as I can to others because I know it's tough coming up and you're doing the right things, man. Like I said, you are 6-0, 4 knockouts. You started out with 4 rounders. You're up to
Mm-hmm.
6 rounders. This fight, it looks like it's going to be an 8 rounder. And
Mm-hmm.
did I read this right? It's going to be an NBA title fight.
Yes, sir. NBA title fight,
Let's
155.
go. So this is your first title fight, right? I know it's a regional
Yeah.
title, but still, this is your first like regional kind of like next level type of stuff, right?
Yeah. It's the next step in the right direction, you know? This is
So
what we've been wanting to do for a long time.
that's my next question is I know that your trainer is Craig Duncan, who's been with you since the amateurs. Now you're 6-0 as a
Mm-hmm.
pro with him along your side. How do you feel? How excited are you going into a title fight now? I know you're on a weight cut, so like I know it's gonna be a little different right now. Like it's fight week, weigh-ins are coming
Yeah.
up. So like, how do you feel ultimately though, besides being starving and a little thirsty, probably?
Honestly, I gotta say this is the lowest weight I'm going down to at 155 pounds. This has probably been my best weight cut like to date because what we've been doing, we've cut carbs out for about a month now, and it's just been fruit, protein, and some veggies. And little by little, like Craig will have the whole week. He'll say, "Hey, on Wednesday you start pulling back on the fruit a little bit. Then on Thursday you completely cut it out. Just things like that, and the weight just comes off naturally." Like today we did some training rounds, and I think by round 13, 14 we're doing, I was still feeling fresh. And normally at this stage of the weight cut, I'm just I can't even keep my hands up. But I feel like I got plenty of energy. Yeah, I feel hungry, but the energy, I'm still able to go. So this has been, for a weight cut, my easiest one. You know,
Wow, like, and I know weight cuts suck because I did it for
dude.
too
Yeah.
long. But so like that's very interesting. Then this one's been different. So what have you changed? What have you noticed that was like the missing puzzle piece there to make this cut better than the rest of the cuts? Is there anything big time that you can kind of reveal that you've done that has helped the most, or what exactly is it?
The biggest thing I've done is listen to my coach, Craig, because usually for like the amateurs, I fight at the lowest was like 160 one time, but usually like 165, 168. And I had a good, I knew how to get down there. So I would still eat rice, chicken, onions. I'm like, oh, I'll cut them out like a week out before the fight. I'm good. But this getting down to the weight I'm getting to, it's different. So Craig's been really emphasizing, making the difference. The biggest thing would be cutting the carbs out for the whole month,
The
because
carbs.
yeah, for that entire from when was it? June, July. From July 24th till whenever the weigh-ins are, there has not been any carbs in my diet whatsoever. So
So
I wake up,
go ahead. Sorry.
I got my egg whites. Lunch would literally just be a bowl of fruit, and then dinner straight chicken, just plain chicken with a little bit of hot sauce. So
I love the
that's
hot
been
sauce.
a yeah, have to. Gotta give it a little flavor.
So you turned pro in March of 2023. And just for the listeners listening here, we're talking about the weight cut. You turned
Hmm.
pro at 167 pounds, which is the super middleweight limit. You have been slowly working your way down. Your last two
Mm-hmm.
fights I've looked at, you were at 156, I think 156 and a half even. And then for this one, it's even another pound at 155. Your
Mm-hmm.
ultimate goal, I'm guessing, is going to be light middleweight, or super welterweight, whichever one you talk about, but it's 154. That's your kind of like final resting place essentially for a
Yeah.
little bit. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah. Ever since first day we signed with Boxlight Promotions, the goal was always to get down to 154. We knew we could do it, but we wanted to make sure we're doing it right, doing it healthy, just like how I feel right now. We don't want to go into the weigh-in feeling drained and dead. That's never a good thing, I'm sure you know.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's always been the plan. The goal weight has always been 154.
I love it, man. So you're fighting Omar Rosales. He's
Mm-hmm.
9-2-1, which is no stranger because your last fight you fought a guy who was 6-1. So you've been stepping it up properly. And if you just look on paper, your first 6 fights, it looks brilliant. Like it looks like you're matching yourself perfectly and you're building it perfectly. And so I've
Mm-hmm.
been on both ends. I've been on the fighting end, I've been on the training end, I've also been on the promoting end. If I look at your box track and I'm like, wow, man, this is good, dude. Like this is what I want to see for a top-notch fighter who is going to get to that next level. So with that being said, I always say this, but you never are supposed to look past your opponent. So I'm not asking you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm asking you, what is your long-term goal? Let's say it's 2024. We're in the third, fourth quarter of 2024 right now. What
Mm-hmm.
is your goal for the next year? What does 2025 look like? If you can envision that, if you can put that out there, that positiveness, what does 2025 look like for Ryan Main Event Maine?
2025, just getting on the bigger stage, putting on a show and showcasing my talent. I truly feel like I'm an entertaining fighter to watch when the competition bar is raised. That's when I raise. So I want to fight the best. I want to put a show on for everyone. I want to be the guy that even if it's not a title fight, they hear, oh, main event's fighting on Friday. We gotta go to the bar. We gotta see this fight, and everyone just comes out to see the fight. That I want to put on a show for everyone.
Something that I like about you is that when I went to one of your fights, you switch very good.
Yeah.
You're a good switch from seamless. So what started that? Did you start switching early on in the amateur side, or did you do that when you turned pro, or how did that kind of come about? How did that evolution happen?
So this is actually kind of a funny story. The whole reason why I started switching, one, it had to do with Lomachenko because I watched a video about him describing why he fights southpaw
But
because
he
he's
doesn't
actually
switch though.
he
Yeah.
doesn't switch,
Yeah.
but he got in my head wanting to learn southpaw. So I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I really want to start incorporating. So I start doing it a little bit here and there. And then what really made me pull the trigger is we're in the amateurs. I forget where it was. It was around Christmas time. Craig and I went out to a fight. It was very controversial. I lost the fight. I won the fight, but they said I lost the fight. Whatever. The opponent's coach was like, "Hey, that's tough. Dog. Let's do it again. Like let's have a rematch. Do it again." So in my head, I'm like, "Oh, he thinks he's seen everything. He thinks he knows what he's coming up." I came out southpaw, and that was the first time I ever did it. And I remember exactly. I was in the corner swinging like I was coming out ortho. And
Yeah.
as soon as
Yeah.
the bell
Yeah.
rung, I switched right out, and his eyes went. He was like, "What?" And ever since then, I was like, "Oh, I like this." Being able to go back and forth, and then just from there on, just I saw the advantage of it. I saw like there's so much more offense I can do. There's so much more
Yep.
defense I can do from it, and not a lot of people do it. It
Yep.
really it messes with people's heads because like they'll first round like they'll measure it out like seeing how people will react whatever. But if you're constantly going back and forth, they don't know how
Yeah.
you're going to react.
Yep.
It keeps them guessing constantly.
So you're exactly right. So there's not a lot of people that do that. There's
Mm-hmm.
actually, if you think of any of the top pros that do it, there's one that comes out and his name is Terrence Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
He switches. So that's why that's some special ground. So I can switch as well. I go left to right too. And mainly when I go left-handed, you're right. It's kind of like it's like a cheat code almost, dude. I'll
Mm-hmm.
go when I'm right-handed, and for some reason, a guy's like, I'm getting caught with like lead or something. One of the punches I'm getting caught with, I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I'll turn left-handed. I'm like, it's weird because you think that it doesn't give you much of a different angle, but then I switch, and then my lead eye is a different eye now, and like I'm seeing
Mm-hmm.
the punch coming at a different angle. So like I'll switch it up, and you're right. There's something that it does to the other opponent when they're like, oh, hey, whoa, 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 what's
Well,
this?
he's switching. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
because if you're a
exactly.
smart fighter, you're supposed to stop and kind of calculate, like, okay, what's he doing here, and figure stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, in that moment, if he's figuring it out, you're jumping on him too. So I like that when I watched you fight because Not very many people do that. And you're exactly right. There's the best in the world out there. Canelo Alvarez, he doesn't do it. Floyd Mayweather, he doesn't do it. None of the top guys do it. Bivol doesn't do it. None of the top guys are able to do it. I don't know if they're able to do it or they just choose not to, but I
Right.
do think that that is something that I'm also seeing a little bit more in this younger generation. And I'm speaking like I'm this old head now, which I am though. I'm 40s, man. So, but I do see it more, but I also think it's good. Like I think that it is definitely something that if you can do it, you should do it because you don't have to use it, right? Is there any moments though in a fight though sometimes where you're just like, you know what, I'm not gonna do it. I don't need it, or do you try to do it every single fight?
I try to do every single fight. I'll go between South and Orthodox, just feeling out my opponent. And usually for a lot of my fights, it's been Southpaw that I felt more comfortable because everyone's been right-handed. But I really just feel it out because it's just the set of my shots, you know. So if I'm doing good in Southpaw, I'll probably stay there for a couple of rounds. Then I'll start switching back. But it's really just it depends on the angle of what I'm trying to do.
So yeah, so you just take a feel for it because it's interesting because Terrence Crawford, that guy used to fight right-handed most of the fights, but now if you watch
Yeah,
him, he'll stay left-handed
he'll
sometimes
stay left-handed.
almost for an entire fight, which
Yeah.
I think it's awesome, man. I think when people can be ambidextrous in the boxing ring, I think it's phenomenal. And like I said, it's just when you turn pro, you got to just start adding little tools in your belts because
Mm-hmm.
everybody's good, man. When you get to the level, once you start getting to that little bit different level of the pros, everybody's good. They are. You
Right.
have to start coming with a little bit something different or something
Mm-hmm.
extra, whether it's mental or some little extra tools in your belt, which is for you. I think you got it now. You switch and you switch
Yeah,
pretty
that
seamlessly.
movement.
Yeah, when I watched you, man, I was just like, I was like, when you switched, I was like, oh no, don't switch, don't switch. But then you did it, and I was just like, all right, it didn't hurting because I have seen people that are very athletic and they're able to switch, and I've seen them switch, and I've seen them get caught because they're not
Yeah.
super comfortable. Because it is when you switch, it's not the only thing that your right hand is now on the front; it's also your footwork, right? Your
Yeah.
balance has to be different. And for me, when I first started doing it in the amateurs, my balance was different. So I was like, I had to get my footwork down because that was the difference. I'm used to having the weight on the back leg, which is my right leg.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I switch right-handed, now I need to have my weight on my back leg, which is my left leg. So like it's different.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a talent, man. And I think I like that you're still doing that and that you're perfecting that. Just be safe with it, be smart with it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say be
100%.
safe because we're in a boxing ring. Like nothing's
I
safe
mean,
about what we do,
yeah.
right? Just like be very deliberate about your movements when you do stuff like
Mm.
that. I mean, that's going to come in handy there. So, next question. You're fighting Omar Rosales. Do you know much about this guy?
Um, I'd be lying to you if I told you I did, honestly. I know he's fought some good guys. I think his only loss was against Vito Monecki. He's
Oh,
number,
Vito. Yeah, yeah, I know Vito.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so he's fought him. I know that much, and that's really about it. I try not to go into the fight with too much because then it just like I start overthinking like, oh, what if he does this? What if he do that? I'd rather just have I watched some film on him, got a baseline for him, what I want to try to do, and then we go into the gym and we attack our game plan and we perfect that. We don't try to worry about them too much. If that makes any sense.
No, 100% it does. And that's where a lot of fighters do stuff like that. And I think Floyd Mayweather was very cocky about his stuff, but Floyd Mayweather also used to say, he's like, I don't watch film on anybody. He goes, I'm
Yeah.
not worried about what they're going to do. I'm worried about what
Uh-huh.
I'm going to do. And like,
Exactly.
I kind of like that, but Floyd Mayweather is also the exception. He's not the rule. This guy's very
Mm-hmm.
special talent, clearly. But it makes a lot of sense when he says that because I'm like, yeah, that's correct. And when I'm coaching people too, I tell them the same thing. I'm like, listen, I don't care what the other guy's doing. We're going to try to implement our game plan on him.
Yep.
Right. So
Exactly.
once you get out in that ring, you have to be able to adapt anyway. Right. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you could train and prepare for everything in the world, but once you get out there, it's different. You have to
Mm-hmm.
be able to adapt and all that stuff. So that's why I kind of like that for sure, that you don't necessarily have to study so much film. And plus, you're in the early stages of your career. You're still growing your career. You're 25, correct?
Yes, sir.
25, 6-0, 4 knockouts. You're fighting for your first title fight. It's an 8-rounder at the Wyndham here in Orlando by Boxlight. I got to give Boxlight
Mm-hmm.
some credit there. Boxlight has been awesome. You've been with Boxlight for your career now. So when you say that in 2025, you want to fight on some bigger stages, So
Hmm.
as you know, there's a couple other promoters here in Orlando, obviously. I go to some other shows too at the Crib Royale, which is the box lab guys. They constantly do
Right.
zone and things like that. Would you be against mixing and mingling in that DAZN platform over there with Box Lab? And that's, I'm not saying leaving Box Lab, because Box Lab clearly is going
No,
to be there
yeah,
with you because you're a loyal guy and I love that about you.
yeah.
But would you guys be interested in something like that as well, crossing over to Box Lab and fighting on a DAZN card? Because DAZN right now, DAZN is the big one of the biggest platforms in the world, not just the United
Right.
States, the world.
Uh, I got to start by answering that by giving so much credit to Boxlight. You know, Gonzo, Gonzalez, Apia, Angel, they've been phenomenal with me. You know, since day one, they've always made the right moves. Like you were saying about my opponents, they're moving me the right way. Everything that's been done, like strategically, that's been done by them. You know,
Mhm.
they'll run stuff by. It's like, hey, we think we should take this fight for this reason, for that. You know, they'll send me off for camps, put me around the right people. So they are they are very good people, and I'm so blessed to be working with them. And honestly, that they are the ones that picked me up. Because I think I would have taken anyone after my first fight. Just realizing what goes into getting an opponent, setting up the match, doing all that. Yeah, exactly. You know exactly what that's like.
Yep.
So after the first fight, them coming up to me and offering me, it's been a blessing ever since that day. Um, but to answer your question, if that's the right next move and that's something they think they are able to do for me, 100%, I'm all for it. You know, I don't care what it is. If it's going to the Carib or going, wherever the camera is, or the biggest stage, that's where I want to be. You know, that's going to be the next move in the stage.
I love it, man. So, like I said, I was telling you off the thing. So, I've actually promoted 4 different professional boxing shows. I've managed
Mm-hmm.
fighters, I've advised fighters, I've trained fighters. My younger brother's 10-0 professional boxer, probably never fight again, the little craphead, but 10-0 pro boxer. I've trained amateurs, I've trained Golden Gloves champions, all of that. So, like, I've been literally on every single realm you can think of. So, that's why, like, when I hear you speaking about your promoter, about your trainer, Craig Duncan, and things
Mm-hmm.
like that, it's refreshing, Ryan. It really is. It's refreshing to see a hardworking guy, a guy who does keep God first as well. I love that
Yes,
about you
sir.
too. We've talked about it on the previous episode. Also, if you guys want to check it out, we have our archives of Ryan Maine came on our show last time too on In This Corner special. So check that out. But I just love seeing that, man. You're a hard worker. When you have a plan, you stick to it. I love
Mm-hmm.
that. And listen, it is boxing. You never know. Crazier things have happened all the time. So that's why I love seeing you focused. I love seeing you sticking to the plan and then just going out there and realizing that it is boxing. And
Mm.
Mike Tyson said the coolest thing in the world. It's so true. It's like everybody has a game plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yep.
And it's and as a fighter, you're a pro now. Like you know this. You fought amateur and now you're pro. You've been pro for since 2023 now, so you know. But it's true. Like you can have all the game plan you want, but your brain's getting rattled out there, right? Like
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
have to be able to think.
Yeah.
So that's my
Literally.
next question too. Is I'm glad is so you've had 6 fights. You've knocked out 4 of the guys. You went the distance
Mm-hmm.
twice now. Has there ever been a point yet that you've actually felt like you're like, oh wow, like I'm in a little bit of trouble here. I gotta focus. I gotta clamp down and really get through this because I for whatever reason I made a small little mistake and I got capitalized on. Have there ever
Right.
been a point yet that you've kind of had like, oh crap, like I gotta focus?
Not trying to sound cocky, but in all my fights yet, no. And that reason being is because one of my sparring partners is Craig Duncan. Craig's got that power right hand. And listen, when,
Big.
when we when we spar, like it's big bro, little bro. There's always gonna be love there, but there's always that like sibling rivalry
Yeah,
where he
yeah.
where I catch him one time and I kind of talk a little shit to him and he's like, oh yeah, yeah, and then he'll start turning it up on me. So he's truly the only person I could say who's made me have to be like, I cowering back. So that honestly, when I've been in the fights, it's been nowhere near that. And that's always been a philosophy of ours. Train hard, fight easy. The training's got to be the worst part of it. And Craig knows that better than anyone. So that's part of the reason why he turns it up on me. He makes it worse in the sparring so that when come fight time, I've already been there. I know how to handle those big shots. And these guys at 155 pounds, they're not hitting like Craig. Craig's walking around 200, 205, 210 pounds.
Yeah, and you know what? That's where I think that a lot of trainers, especially nowadays, they haven't been there, done that. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
like I feel
Yeah.
like, and that's not to slight any other trainer at all. I'm not trying to do that at all, but I'm trying to say that I get it because when you said sibling rivalry, I was like, dude, my younger brother's 2 years younger than me. We fought in the amateurs together, and I was just training him again. I trained him as a pro, but I was just training with him again. He was like, Travis, like, you know why I was so good in the amateurs? Because I was a 3-time national champion. And he was like, I was sparring I was a 2 year older guy who was a 2-time, 3-time national champion. He's like, that's who I was sparring with. He's like, so
Yeah.
like, he's like, how could I not be good? So I'm like,
Exactly. Yeah.
and but you don't think about that in the moment. But when you just brought it up, I'm like, you're right. You're sparring with Craig Duncan, who was a successful professional fighter
Mhm.
as well, but also has the knowledge now being a
Mhm.
former fighter, but
Right.
also being able to still kind of compete at a very good level to give you that work. And
Yeah.
I think that's special and that doesn't happen often. So like
No.
that's a really cool thing. And I'm trying to be like on that level with Craig, where like I'm trying to stay healthy enough and fit enough to where I can also spar with my fighters, because how
Mm.
much better can you get when your actual coach can
Mhm.
actually not just like hold the punch mitts, but step in the ring with you and be like, hey, all this shit I've taught you and all this shit I've tell you, now I need you to back it up against
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and people don't understand boxing where like I think that brings you also, I think that's a little bit of camaraderie too, right? It brings you a little bit closer with him. And once you get closer
Oh,
with
a
the
thousand percent.
trainer, you people don't understand that when you're going to battle in that ring and you come back in between rounds, it's only a minute, right? But when you come
Mhm.
back in between rounds, you have 1 minute. And sometimes I've come back to those rounds in between rounds and been like, what the hell do I do? And
Yeah.
like you're entrusting this person with your life. Like, let's be
Mhm.
honest, like sometimes it's your life. So like that camaraderie from actually competing and sparring with him is,
Mhm.
people don't understand it unless they've been there. So like it was kind of cool to hear you talk about that. You actually get to spar with Craig on top of everything else that he does. Obviously, you're not sparring all the time, but the fact that
No.
you can actually get
Yeah.
in there and do that, like I think that's a pretty cool thing, which
Yeah.
eventually I have a rule on my podcast is if we ever do an in-person
Yeah.
one,
I know this rule.
we have to spar. So
Uh
I'm going through a little bit of a small injury on the elbow, but
huh.
give me, maybe the next fight, I think we need to have you out here in person. So we gotta move around a little bit. We
I'm
gotta do
listen.
it.
I'm all for that.
And
I'm
like,
all
listen,
for
I say that, but I'm not looking forward to that. Okay. I'm not. All
it.
right. I'm not. But I made the rule and I'm a very honest person. So I stick to my rules.
I like it.
I've either had to have boxed you in person in the ring, like which was Terrence Crawford, I did,
Mm.
or we've sparred. So like I sparred with Mike Perry. I didn't want to do it. And I sparred with Mike Perry. I didn't want to do it again.
Didn't didn't we spar at UFC gym one time? Like back in the day.
I
Did we
never
we
have.
didn't do
No,
it one time? No?
you know what? Maybe it was my brother. But I never, for sure, I never did for sure. I think maybe we were like going to, but I don't think we ever did.
I could have sworn it was just like on a weekend or on a Saturday. I just come in to, just take the class, whatever. And there were a couple of guys that are going in to spar. And I want to say you were there, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Well, you know what? I'm not. I was just having this conversation with Craig yesterday too. I was like, you know what, man? I was like, this is why I'm so honest nowadays. Is for the morally, you want to be honest anyway, right? But I'm saying
Right.
I'm honest nowadays because my memory is probably not the best. So if you lie to people, you have to remember that
You got to
lie.
remember the lie. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm just brutally honest because like I don't
I
have the
won't
greatest
remember.
memory. Yeah. Like it's funny though, because I remember some of my boxing matches from when I was 10 years old. I watched some boxing matches on TV and we'll watch it. And I'll start telling my wife about certain things that happened during that fight. And I remember like the dad coming up to me after the fight saying stuff, which is crazy that I remember that. But then if you ask me what I had for breakfast 2 days ago, I'm like, huh,
Yeah.
I'm
Huh.
not really sure. Or,
Yeah.
well, you're just telling me, did we spar? I don't think we did, but I would have to go back in the archive and really
Yeah.
think about. I don't think we did, but regardless, we can do a
Bro, we still
refresher
we
still.
Yeah. We'll get our round in. We'll
I
get
mean,
our round.
honestly, I would be honored anyway because I think that it would be awesome because I can fight obviously a little bit. I'm pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I could help you for. I'm not giving you a lot of rounds, by the way. It'd be a couple probably. So depending on where I'm at, but I'll give you a
Listen.
couple. I tell everybody I can spar with anybody without even doing any training. I could go at
Mhm,
least 2 to 3 rounds with anybody just based
mhm.
on my veteranness and just like I can move around. I
Knowing the
wouldn't get
tricks of the
the
game.
yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't get the best of you for sure, but I could get by. But
Yeah.
I'd want to give you some good work for sure. So that's we got that in the future. You heard it here on Weighing In with Travis Hartman.
Can't back out now.
I can't back out obviously now. So plus I want to be a part of that journey, man. I love what you're doing. Like I said, you are 6-0, 4 knockouts. You have your very first title fight ever coming up this Saturday
Yeah.
in Orlando, which by the way, I call the Mecca of boxing in Florida now
It's
is
it's becoming
Orlando.
that.
Hey, I'm telling you, 3 years ago, I said it's gonna happen, you guys. They thought I was crazy, but dude, they're moving from Miami. Miami used to be
Up
kind of
here.
like they are. I don't care what anybody says. The bigger fights have now happened here in
Hmm.
Orlando. Okay, so
Hmm.
like people can say what they want, but people lie, but numbers don't. And the numbers are showing right now that Orlando has
Hmm.
become the mecca of boxing in Florida. But dude, and you're part of that now, right? So you're part of that crop that's coming up, man. And I think that
Yeah.
you kind of have a duty now, bro, to you got Florida on your back a little bit here. Put them on your back and
Never
let's go.
never thought of it like that, but I like that. I like that perspective of it. Huh.
I mean, it's
Huh.
coming, man. It's coming, and I'm telling you, we're seeing the peak happening right around here. And
Hmm.
I hope to God that you get a big fight and you get to do it in your backyard, which is right
God
here,
willing.
because
That would be amazing.
you're a Florida-born guy too, right? You were born here in Florida.
Hmm.
You reside now in Orlando area. You train in Orlando area as well. So like, I
Well,
just
I'm training down Miami and Orlando
yeah yeah. So
with the
like that's
great.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No no go
I,
ahead.
I, I was just gonna say I'm training down in Miami with the great Jorge Rubio, and then when I come back to Orlando, I got the great Craig Duncan. So like you were saying earlier, adding pieces on, not really necessarily taking pieces away to replace them, but just adding pieces on. And Coach Rubio's been that next piece and that next level up in my career.
And that's something else I think is kind of cool about you is that you guys have traveled quite a bit. I seen you traveled out to like Top Rank, I think, as well, like not
Hmm.
long ago, and did some sparring out there. And I had a couple guy Corey Marksman was on the show too before he fought over on the Jake Paul undercard, and he was traveling to like
Right.
Philadelphia and I think that if I could give any type of advice to any upcoming guys, and that's what I would say, travel and get sparring, man. If you
Yeah.
didn't have a massively big amateur career where you were fighting in nationals, you were fighting in the world games, you were fighting all
Hmm.
over the country for like 10 years, then you can cut your teeth on sparring. And that's go spar the best. Don't be afraid to get
No.
your butt kicked in sparring. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's about. Like some of
Yeah.
the best in the world have got their ass kicked in sparring. I saw a video of Floyd Mayweather getting his ass kicked by Paul Spadafora.
Yeah.
All right. And like that, but when people show that video to me, I was like, dude, I was like, who cares? I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
big deal.
sparring. That
It's
that's
fucking
the
sparring.
that's the point. It's supposed
Exactly.
you're supposed to get your ass whooped in the sparring. So come actual fight time, you very like it's not going to happen. It's not going to be the same thing.
My pops always had a thing where he was just like, I would rather you bleed in the gym than
Uh
bleed out
huh.
there. And like that always stuck in my head. And I was just like, I don't want to bleed anywhere to be fair.
I don't want to bleed
But
at all.
exactly. But I thought about like, it kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I want to, it's like you said, you made a comment about you and Craig, and you're like, train hard, fight easy. You know what
Yep.
I mean? No fight's ever easy, but
Right. Yeah.
the training, honestly, what people don't realize is the training is the hardest part, man.
Oh,
Like,
1000%.
and it's the most mundane sometimes. And just like some of the stuff you can get creative about some stuff, but there's some stuff that just like you got to do over and over and over and over
Yeah.
again that you have to do it. Right. It's like suffer now, live the rest of your life a champion.
Exactly.
And like,
Exactly.
so with that being said, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. I multiple times now, you're becoming a veteran and I love that. So congratulations again on your 6-0 start to pro career. You've only
Thank
been
you.
pro
Thank
for,
you.
I mean, bro, it's literally only been about a year and a half. You're 6 and
Yeah.
0, 4 knockouts. Props to Boxlight Promotions as well. Props to your trainer, Craig Duncan. Props to the guys in Miami that are helping you along the way. This is what
Hmm.
people don't realize is it's so hard because at the end of the day, it really is just you in the ring. It is,
Right.
right? But even though it's a singular sport, what people don't see is there's a lot of people that got me personally to that point to get in the ring,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And that's where you're at too. So like there's a lot of props that go around, but at the end of the day, now it's up to you, Big Bunny. It's up to
Hmm.
you to perform. And you got the nickname, and I like it. Ryan, Main Event Maine. You're the main event at the Wyndham here in
Yep.
Orlando on Saturday. Boxlight Promotions. Guys, come check it out because I know there's some other locals on the card as well. So come check it out. Ryan Main's a hard worker. Ryan Main was an amateur. He's got the work ethic to be a top pro. You're already making waves. This is going to be your first 8-rounder. So that means I'm looking forward to 2025 because I believe that's when you're going to start fighting your 10 and 12
Yeah.
rounders, which is the championship level fights. So
Hmm.
I'm very, very invested, Ryan, in your next movements. But get by Saturday. Let's
Yep.
do work. Get yourself out of there. Clean, get a win, put it in the books, and let's keep
Hmm.
working, man. Thank you
Yes,
so much
sir.
for coming on the show, brother. Is there anything that you want to leave with? Is there any sponsors you want to thank? Because you absolutely, this is the point where you can thank whoever's been sponsoring you on your trunks or whatever else, or who you want to go. I don't mean to put you on the spot like that. I don't want you to forget somebody. But if there's some
Right.
people out there that you kind of want to give some thanks to, this is the end of the show. So some people have already stopped listening. However, the ones that haven't, we're going to put this on there.
First and foremost, all glory to God. That's the person I have to give all glory to immediately off right away. Try and do that more as I grow in my faith and get more knowledge. I want to start using my platform to give glory to him and everything he's been able to do for me in my life. All my sponsors, every single one you see on my trunks have been with me since day one. I love them all. I know them all. They've been amazing sponsors through my entire career. Thank you to Craig. Thank you to Boxley, Gonzalo Sapia, Angel, Gonzalez, and Coach Jorge Rubio, and all the guys down there in Miami who've been working me, getting me ready for this next upcoming fight.
Again, get your tickets, guys. Where
Yep.
can we find tickets? I know that your girlfriend has been handling a lot of your ticket stuff. Can you
Yes.
message them on Instagram, or where's the best place for that?
Um, I gotta give her a shout out too. She's been amazing. You can DM me at Main Event Maine on Instagram, or you can do that, and then I'll direct you to her, and she'll give you everything. But she's been amazing since day one too. She's been dealing with the sponsors, making sure all that's squared away, dealing with the ticket sales, doing T-shirt sales. If I need something for to eat for my meal prep, say, hey, do you want me to cook this for you? Do you want me to pick this up for you? You need my weight loss cream that I use when I go sweat. Like, so she's truly been a blessing this whole process too.
Teamwork makes the dream work,
Yeah,
brother.
teamwork makes the dream work.
It truly does. So you know what? I'm gonna try to figure it out, but I know B Money, who's the co-host of this show as well. B Money's gonna be there. He's gonna be there with Papa Price. I haven't got my ticket yet.
Pop
I
the
got some.
price.
I got some. I got 3 kids at home here, 4-month-old twins.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna try to make it actually, man, because I gotta put my money where my mouth is. So I'm going to try to get out there as well, but I'm just trying to encourage everybody else. I tell people on the show all the time, when there's certain shows and certain people to see, I've been correct on these things too, because I made predictions about fights all the time. Like Corey Marksman, he had
Yeah.
Tony Aguilar. I've been like, dude, go see it. It's going to be the fight of the night.
Phenomenal performance.
It was both times they fought. So like I'm telling everybody right now, you want to go see Ryan Maine, you want to go see high quality boxing. Ryan Maine is the main event against let's see who I forgot the guy's name. Omar Rosales, right? Omar
Yeah.
Rosales.
Yeah.
And they're fighting in an 8-rounder. They're fighting for an NBA title fight. It'll be Ryan's first one. A 6-0, 4 knockouts. Come check it out. Boxlight Promotions. I know that Gonzalez Sapia is amazing right now with you. He's done good with promoting too. It's at the Wyndham Hotel in Orlando, Florida. Come
Yes,
check it
sir.
out. We'll put some links down below here for Ryan Maine's Instagram account. Also, Gracie Frog, I believe is her Instagram account. We'll put that down there too. I know that we follow her. She's been awesome too. But again, I want to go back to it. I love how you thanked God because none of this is possible without him, man. My podcast isn't possible. What I've done isn't possible, and it never would have been possible without our Lord and Savior. He's the King of the Kings for sure. I love how you thank him too, man. I want to thank God for allowing you to come on the show. Thank you for coming on the show. And if I don't see you, God bless, bro, and do your thing.
Travis, thank you so much, man. God bless.
Thanks, brother.